Good morning. Welcome to our absolutely wonderful Wednesday. Let this be wonderful. And today is the beginning of our part two in Scanner book, a Refuse to Choose book. So let's just go and be grateful for whatever we have. And also, let's start our morning with the Power of Dreams programming. Let's manifest our dreams as if they've come true. Let's have some fluid movement. Welcome back. So today is our beautiful day where we're having a new beginning in a way, where we're understanding why we are refusing to choose. And today is the beginning of a part two of our journey. So one half is done and part two starts now. So which kind of scanner are we? Yesterday, Shivani said she's 100% a scanner. I'm not sure how many of you are 100% scanners or partially scanners, but even if you are partially scanners, this is for us. What kind of scanners are we? So, hello, Scanner. I hope you've stopped believing you must limit yourself to one career, one lifestyle, one passion, and that you understand you weren't designed that way. May you have been unhappy that you could never make up your mind, but some part of you has always refused to choose. What's your problem? You might not have one. What you do have is an unusually fast, curious mind that loves to solve problems and explore new ideas, and too many attitudes to fit into one job title. Now you have the most exciting task of designing a lifestyle with all the space you need, one that's arranged to let you make full use of your considerable talents. But just what's the right lifestyle for you? The answer is different for each scanner because there are many types of scanners. Scanners aren't all alike. It's no one fits all, right? Even the reward that draws them are different. Most scanners share their love of learning about almost anything at all. All creative scanners love making something that didn't exist before. Many scanners wish to belong to a community of people like themselves. But in other, more specific areas, you see a surprising variety of rewards. One type of scanner, the serial master, let's see chapter number 16, which is a while away, loves the challenge of learning to speak a foreign language, like a native or perfecting the techniques of glazing a clay pot or becoming a black belt in karate. Another type of scanner, the sampler, see chapter 19, loves to see how things are done by actually doing them. They want to experiment, see for first hand experience. ये नहीं लोगों ने बोल दिया and they will do it. अपने आप करना चाहते हैं. एक जने को चल लगता है कि मुझे एस करना, right? जो भी मैं पिकअप कर रहा हूँ, मुझे उसमें perfection चाहिए या मुझे उसमें I want to just excel at it. Then there's another scanner. Now this type wants to build one small boat, write and illustrate one children's book, create a rock garden once. Becoming an expert at something would feel limiting to him. So कई ऐसे होते हैं कि नहीं हमको सब कुछ try करना. Expert is not matter. The matter is the most important thing is that we try various things. Scanners also have distinct strengths and weaknesses. The plate spinner, see chapter 13, has dazzling ability to work on a dozen problems at the same time, but never finds time to develop his own projects. Now, the wanderer kind of a scanner is remarkably receptive to new people and environments, but lacks direction in his own life. So, what makes one type of scanner different from another? You'll meet one kind of scanner who explores a new field for a week or two, and another who needs years to learn and what she wants to know. Scanners types move from one interest to the next and never look back. They may say they haven't really lost interest in anything they were once passionate about, and they often keep all the tools and materials they used, but after a little probing, they admit they want to explore new ideas. Other types have many interests, but they always circle back to picking up the same ones over and over again. Now, these differences aren't superficial, they're deep down, right? Why? Because they create the foundation on which a successful operating style must be built. Now, in the past, you've always been advised to follow the plan that worked for everyone around you. Pick something and stick to it until it's finished. But you can't do that. You have too many interests for one thing, and you mean something very different by the word finish. Scanners differ among themselves about what they want from any project. You might want to solve real life problems and nothing else. Another scanner loves mysteries and wants only an insight into what's behind them. Chances are good. However, neither of you know how to conform to the world's demands for fulfilling your own. But wait until you see what happens when you've been given the right tools and a good set of operating instructions. With a schedule that finally matches your natural pace and a career gives you room to be who you really are, you can turn your life around. So, one thing is a beautiful tool is going to come up, and you will be amazed that people like scanners also can use a tool so beautifully. Now, how to use the upcoming chapters. Now, we in the part two, we've got the basic gist of this book. Now, how do we use the future tense, which is coming? Now, identifying your scanner type is not a neat and tidy matter. You're almost sure to find yourself in two or three, even maybe all of these chapters. I'm still learning so much about scanners. I make exciting new discoveries every single day that this typology has to be tentative. The truth is, I have never encountered a scanner who was only one type. But you'll get everything you need if you simply read through all the chapters. You'll find useful tools, interesting careers in every chapter. And the best part is that some will appear in all of them. So you could be a blend, a melange. So read straight through the coming pages and toss anything that looks promising into your shopping cart for a try out when you are ready. By choosing that what works for you and discarding what doesn't, you will end up with a perfect program for you. So this is a time all of us must reiterate on the fact that if we are multitasking of doing something while listening to a lecture or the discourse, please get your books out, your journals out, and your pens and pencils out. Because now you will have to start making notes and take down what you are resonating with, which chapter, which part. If you have the book printed in front of you, you'll simply start highlighting. So, what if you can't figure out what type you are? Now, that's a question some of you may have. Now, it won't affect the way you use this book or success you'll have with it, but pay attention. You could be operating in a way that doesn't naturally suit you. Sometimes, some years ago, teachers were expected to train left-handed students to use the right hands. I had some lefties in my family, and they usually had a hard time of it. More than their handwriting was affected, their ability to learn was thrown off. It's simply a bad idea to try to be someone else. If you've done that up till now, start relaxing a little until you gradually revert to your authentic self. So, very, very important for us to understand that all of us are differently built. And if there's no one size that fits all, how can I become you? How can you become me? Why do you have to ape me? Why do I have to ape you? Let's realize our own unique quality. Which kind of scanner are we? If that doesn't work before you, don't worry. You're about to learn techniques that could change everything right now. As you discover all your unique scanner characteristics, try to remember this. You were designed by a master. Nature didn't make any mistakes with you. You must explore the workings of who you are, nor who you believe you ought to be. That means you must respect your tastes, your ideas, your inner clock. Like every other creature in this world, you were designed to do something well. If you were a scanner, you were designed to do many things well. Don't try to change yourself into something else. Just observe what you do without judgment and try to understand yourself. The more you know, the better your chances are to create the life that's designed for you, that fits you perfectly. With that in mind, let's see which kind of scanner you are. So let's go forth and understand which kind of scanner we are. Now, chapter 9 is all about cyclical scanners. Now, cycle, we all know what happens, right? So I am a repeat offender. I have 4 or 5 major areas I'm interested in. And no matter how often I drop them, I always get interested in them again. So the way a cycle repeats, a pattern repeats, we keep picking up the same profession over and over again, or same interest or same hobby over and over again, even though we've experimented with a lot more. So if I ask you to list what your interests are, and you have no trouble doing it, you're probably a cyclical scanner. You know all the things you love to do most, unlike the sequential scanner who's always discovering a completely new interest. Your list may have only a few items on it, like the double agent in the next chapter, who's torn between two lives, or it may have been 20 things which you like, but the list isn't endless. You know what you love, you always return to each activity over and over again. I've identified 3 types of cyclical scanners. Now, within cyclical scanners, there are 3 varieties. I'll start this discussion with the double agent, a scanner who typically has only 2 things he wants to do. All scanners can use the techniques the double agent does and needs, but the double agent has his own set of obstacles, his own gifts, his own conflicts, and needs to find a career that may be unlike other scanners. So now this the double agent, प्राय दो चीजों के बीच में, he keeps fluctuating, shifting, because this is what he needs. But even though if it's 2, it's not 1, right? So he is definitely a scanner. कभी के कभी वो. सबके पास अपने ऑब्स्टिकल्स होते हैं, सबके पास अपने गिफ्ट्स होते हैं, सबके पास अपनी प्रॉब्लम्स होती हैं. Now when we understand that we are this kind of a scanner, we can have एक निवारण मिल सकता है, हमें एक सोल्यूशन मिल सकता है हमारी प्रॉब्लम्स का, बिकॉज अब हम रिलेट करेंगे. So, हमने एक बार किया था ना, इफ यू रिमेंबर, वी हैड डन अ डिस्क एनालिसिस, अपनी पर्सनालिटी किस टाइप की, हम 4 टाइप की पर्सनालिटीज हैं, किस टाइप के हमने वो किया था. Now इसमें if we are a scanner, which many of us are scanners, we have to understand which kind of scanners we are. साइक्लिकल में जो रिपीट करते हैं उनमें एक डबल एजेंट होता है, सिर्फ 2 चीजों के बीच में फ्लक्चुएट करता है. अब एक और टाइप का साइक्लिकल स्कैनर है जिसको बोलते हैं साइबल. He makes up the largest group of cyclical scanners by far. Each Cybele has many interests and is torn between them to the point where she often does none at all. Cybeles can be plagued by confusion, by clutter, but are more concerned about having nothing to show for their lives. अब साइबल्स के पास बहुत कुछ होता है एजेंडा, ये भी कर लूं, ये भी कर लूं, ये भी कर लूं, ये भी कर लूं, पर इतना प्रोक्रेस्टिनेट करते हैं, इतना डिली डाली करते हैं, इतने हिल्टी स्केल्टी एनर्जी होती है, इतने क्लटर्ड होते हैं माइंड में भी, अपने आसपास भी, कि कुछ भी नहीं कर पाते और उनके लिए अल्टीमेटली कुछ भी नहीं होता. Third and final cyclical scanner type is a plate spinner. This is the fastest of the cyclical scanners, like the carnival performers, whose name I've given them. And they can keep many projects in play at the same time. Although they're often the stars of any place they work, they have just as much trouble doing what they love as any other scanner and are more likely to put their dreams off for some day in the future. Not a wise choice, but fortunately, not necessarily one either. ये लोग ना जो भी करते हैं मल्टीटास्क करते हैं एक टाइम पे, जैसे मॉर्निंग में ये किया, दोपहर में ये किया, शाम को ये किया, रात में ये किया, इनके मल्टीपल प्रोजेक्ट चलते रहते हैं. बट प्रॉब्लम क्या होती है मल्टीपल प्रोजेक्ट चलने में, वन थिंग एट वन टाइम नहीं करने से they can't do exactly what they're meant to do. They pick up the wrong things. So let's step into the lives of the cyclical scanners and see if you recognize yourself. So अब हम क्या करने वाले हैं, जो आगे चैप्टर्स आने वाले हैं, 3 टाइप के स्कैनर्स हैं, साइक्लिकल स्कैनर्स. एक एक को हम डाइसेक्ट करेंगे टू अंडरस्टैंड that what are we going to do. So next chapter is, are you a double agent cyclical scanner? I had to choose. That's chapter 10. Yes, Shivani, of course you can read. Please go ahead. So chapter 10, are you a double agent? I had to choose between what's right and my dream. You can't just do what you want. You have to think of others. Should I keep my practical job or do what I love? If I do the first, I'll be unhappy. If I do the second, I'll be broke. I want 2 different careers and can't possibly do them both. I'm stuck like the fabled donkey between 2 holes, 2 bales of hay, going hungry because he can't make up his mind. So, are you a double agent? Let's see why and how. With the following questions, and ask yourself these questions. If they are you, then you can do a tick mark also, right? Because you could be a mixture. Yes, please.
Have you given up a dream because it's unrealistic? Would you love to live in more than one country or have more than one career? Do you believe in life full of hard choices? Do you ever consider just quitting your job and starting over in something you love? Would you hate to be seen as selfish? Are you stuck because a change would cause too much sacrifice for the people you love? Do you sometimes think your problems would be solved if you were two or more people? If you answered yes to most of the above, you belong to a special group of scanners I call double agents. I use that name because they sometimes have fantasies of being two people, one who does the right thing and another who is free to live her dreams. A typical double agent scanner feels her main choice in life is between breaking her own heart and breaking someone else's. Unlike many scanners, double agents don't need to change what they are doing with any frequency. In fact, they would be willing to live at least one of those lives forever if they could. Their obstacles seem in I'm
Surmountable.
insurmountable, but in lives forever. If, uh,
No, but in
but in
fact,
fact, they are the scanners with most easily resolved conflicts of all. But if you are a typical double agent, you are convinced the problem is hopeless.
why are they like this? Because वो choose ही नहीं कर पा रहे कि मैं अपने दिल की बात सुनूं या दूसरे की बात सुनूं. मेरा मन कह रहा है मुझे प्रोफेशन ये करना है, बट फैमिली वाली सोसाइटी बोल रही है ये करना है. अब प्रॉब्लम क्या है डबल एजेंट्स को? दे नीड टू चूज व्हाट दे हैव बीन डूइंग. इट्स ऑल राइट एंड इवन डुअल लाइफ इज फाइन, बट दे डोंट डू इट. दे फील कि हमारी प्रॉब्लम्स इतनी सारी हैं, ये भी नहीं हो सकता, ये भी नहीं हो सकता. एंड उनकी लाइफ में कॉन्फ्लिक्ट्स इजीली नहीं रिजॉल्व होते, कुछ उनकी ऐसा विचार है. नाउ एंड देन व्हाट दे थिंक इज कि अरे कुछ नथिंग कैन हैपन, मैं तो ऐसा ही है. नाउ लेट्स अंडरस्टैंड बेटर विद हेलेन स्टोरी.
Helen, a woman who drove me back to my hotel after a workshop in Houston, spoke sadly. I love living in Africa. Being in the bush for 2 years made me feel completely alive in a way I had never experienced before. And I haven't felt that way since I returned home. But I can't live in Africa anymore. And I guess I should be grateful that I had a few fabulous years of that life. Oh, too bad, I sighed. Why can't you live there anymore? My parents are getting older, and I can't bear to leave them on their own, and I don't want to miss their last years with me. They are the best people in the world, and if I'm far away when they need me, I couldn't bear it. I would regret it for the rest of my life. Giving up Africa breaks my heart, but is but this is more important. So that's that. She turned into the driveway and stopped, ready to say good night. A little. embarrassed for having bothered me with her story, but I was curious about something. Is there some reason you can't go to Africa for a shorter time now and then, say 3 weeks, maybe a couple of times a year? I asked. She paused a little and sat back a little. Well, I really never thought of that. There was a moment's silence in which I could almost hear the whirring in her head while she
The
went
wheels
through
whirring in her head.
the wheels whirring in her head while she went through this new idea. Then she broke the silence and said in a resigned voice, I can't get that time off from my job. I'm sure about that. Ah, I see. Too bad. But wait a minute. Didn't you say you had only been back to the States for a year? Do you already have a great job? Hardly, she laughed. I'm an administrative assistant at the local hospital. No benefits, but it's a job, and I need one. And I know they won't let me take 3 weeks off. Looks like you have the wrong job. Have you tried to find one to suit your needs a little better? Again, there was a surprised pause. Like what? I don't know, but unless your hourly rate at the hospital is unusually high, it seems you could do the same work as a temporary worker and pick your own schedule. Or maybe you could even pick up contract work where you are hired for a project that might take a few months to complete. When it's over, you take a few months off. And of course, you could always teach school and have your summers free, right? It was dark outside, but the hotel lights lit her face as she turned and looked at me, and I could see an idea dawning in her eyes. You know, my brother and his wife and kids would love to come to Houston and spend some time with the folks during the holidays, she said with some excitement in her voice. After that, nothing could stop her. She said good night as politely as possible, but I could tell she was ready to stop talking and swing into action, and she probably would be making phone calls on her way home.
So, did you see the double agent? What's happening? Her heart is set in one place, but she's doing what others expect her to do. And she has to be nudged because her mind is so chaotic. कुछ भी उठा लिया कर लिया प्रोफेशन में मजा आया नहीं आया जस्ट बिकॉज करना है कर लिया अब कोई आइडिया दे रहा है तो एकदम से दिमाग की बत्ती चल रही ओह आई कैन डू दिस ओह या आई कैन डू दिस बट अल्टीमेटली करते हैं कि नहीं डिपेंड करता है उसके बाद भी प्रोक्रेस्टिनेशन में जाते हैं हाँ बट इसका फ्लिप साइड ये होगा पर मुझे तो ये करना वो ड्यूटी में फर्ज में ही मरे जाते हैं इतने ज्यादा कि अपने आप को अवॉइड कर लेते हैं दैट्स व्हाई दे कॉल्ड डबल एजेंट्स नाउ आइदर और थिंकिंग let me take this one and you can do the next paragraph. If you too are someone who has forgotten other ways of working besides a 2 weeks vacation per year model, chances are you're stuck in either or thinking mode. It's not an unusual way to think by any means, unless we're talking about scanners. Now, scanners are typically creative and not ordinarily tied to rigid thinking. They're the quintessential out of the box people, if only because they're aware of so many different fields. But over and over again, I found scanners like Helen who shut down their thinking before they went looking for some solutions. And I never understood why. Remember, the only thing I did for Helen was suggest that she go to Africa for a shorter period of time since she couldn't live there all year. That's not rocket science. But then I realized we've all done the same thing in our lives, and I began to understand. So, even simplest of things, you have to be nudged at times. You can't see the writing on the wall, and you're like, okay, someone will come and tell me that this is what is written there. You don't want to make the effort to just look a slide up. But what is happening with scanners are they are usually they're people who are very, very, very creative because they're scanners and these kind of people are out of the box people. इनकी सोच, इनके thoughts एकदम अलग होते हैं because they are aware कि there are so many more things to be done. But a double agent का एक खासियत है जो मैं discuss कर ली. Now, next section that we're going to read is Your heart can shut down your brain. Let's understand this. It's a very interesting take on this. Yes, Shivani.
When we have what appears to be an unresolved conflict like Helen's, we have fallen into a trap that I call either or fallacy. The either or hijacks hijacks our thinking, and all of our natural resourcefulness disappears. If ever there was a dream killer, either or thinking it is it. What about that fable of donkey who stood between two piles of hay, unable to decide which to eat until he finally starved to death? Can you see the fallacy? Someone forgot to tell the poor donkey that he can have both of those piles of hay, one at a time. He can finish one and start on the other, or go back and forth, munching to his heart's content until they are both gone. He can then head out and eat a lot more bales of hay, but either or thinking puts you into a trance. It sneaks in when you're not looking and monopolizes your thinking with artificial limits. Once it takes over, you don't even try to imagine better alternatives. And why does this happen? Because you're so disappointed you can't think straight. So you square your shoulders, bite the bullet, do the right thing, and tell yourself you're not a kid anymore and it's time to stop indulging yourself.
So, what is this indulgence? That, procrastination. What is this indulgence? Indecisiveness. You have to tell yourself, stop it, get up, wake up, say it's time for you to move on. Otherwise, your thinking, your procrastination will put you in a trance and you're like, oh my God, what did I do today? The entire day went by. पता ही नहीं मैं दिमाग में ख्याली पुलाव बुन रहा था and कुछ भी नहीं कर पाया. क्यों? Because I've become a thinker. I'm just thinking. And इतना सोच रहा हूँ दिल से कि दिमाग बंद हो गया. पूरा दिन खराब हो गया. So sometimes it's very important that we just either we wake up ourselves, somebody just shakes us up, we shake our shoulders, we bite the bullet and say, come on, let's do it because this is what I have to do. This is what I have to decide. But there's a part of every scanner that never grows up. Let's understand.
When scanners fall in love with an idea, they fall in love with the intensity of children. Disappointment hits them deeply. So when they run into a conflict about something that matters to them enormously, Helen's love of Africa couldn't compete with her love of her parents. They see only one possible outcome and they give up the fight. But like Mark Twain's obituary, reports on the death of your dream are premature. We each have our own history of disappointment that began when we were children, and it has an influence on how we operate today. But if you are an either or thinker, it would be good to remember that you are grown up now and no longer have to give up so fast. Either or thinking kills up too many dreams too quickly. But if we could get you to start holding the decision door open for longer than you're used to, you stand a really good chance of beating it. Here's a little game you can play that I hope will change the way of your thinking forever.
So
Try
today we're
with
going to play this beautiful game. Why? Because a lot of us who are especially double agents are all the time procrastinating and all the time thinking that, oh, should I be doing this for others? Should I be doing this? And in the process, they forget that they also matter. Now, what is this game? Let me take them through, Shivani, then we'll take a break for a sun salutation. You'll resume back and letting go. Now, this game is wonderful. Now, if your thinking falls into the narrow, got to be this or that pattern, you need to get in the habit of looking for more solutions. Read the instructions for the simple game and you'll see what I mean. Step one, imagine that you've looked in the cupboard and found nothing to eat but a packet of spaghetti, a can of tuna, and a can of dog food. You say the following to your family: either we can have spaghetti or we can have tuna for dinner. That's your either or statement. Now, step two. Now, see how many ways you can change that either or statement to one like this. Either we can have spaghetti or we can have tuna salad, or we should come up with other choices. Step number three, come up with as many alternatives as you can. If you play with your friends, give points for every alternative they offer and try. Try it with kids, they'll win all the points because they are so creative and they are unleashed and they don't think so much and they just randomly sporadically come out with an option. Now, for example, alternative one is we could have neither tuna nor spaghetti. You could pick up the phone and have pizza sent in, or we could get off our couch and go to the store or to a restaurant, or we could call a friend or relative and invite ourselves to their house for dinner, or we can give ourselves to Fido and start a week-long juice fast. Alternative number two, you could have both tuna and spaghetti. You could eat one and I could eat the other, or if you open the tuna and put it over spaghetti, we can eat a small tuna dinner now and a very small spaghetti dinner later. Or we can order vegetarian food from a Chinese restaurant, add the tuna and put it over spaghetti. Or we could invite a friend to bring a third choice and make a tuna casserole. Alternative number three, we could try eating the dog food, but either the tuna or the spaghetti with that. Number four, we could go to the market and exchange what we have for canned chili with beans. Now, can you think of any other alternatives? At this moment, I confess that I can't. Now, when you finish reading my example, try it yourself using your own issues. For example, Helen would say, I want to live in Africa and I want to live in Houston. And one of our solutions would be live in both the places at different times of the year. The game may seem a bit silly, but I found that if you play it a few times a day or just for a week, your thinking will open up in a remarkable way. Think what that could do. You might stop giving up on your dreams and start making them come true. So, what we're going to do with this dream is you can play this as a couple, you can play this as a family of four or two, or just by yourself. You're trying to open your mind into creative thinking than what you are right now. You're a stuck up thinker and you can't go beyond because you're trying to please people. So, here, when you play this game, you will realize that there is a world of possibility outside. And I have the answer. I'm not looking for anyone from outside. I have the answer. Tomorrow, we'll talk about another model. Now, this is also in tandem with Helen, but we'll continue this tomorrow. It's about Carmen, her effects, and how the life model is designed. We'll go step by step so that we have this much. Today, please play this game. You've been thinking, even if you aren't a double agent, play this game. But when I think ये करना, क्या alternatives आ सकते हैं, क्या मैं follow कर सकता हूँ. Okay, we'll play this beautiful game. And now let's time for our sun salutations.
The Surya Namaskar with mantras. Om Mitraye Namaha. Om Ravaye Namaha. Om Suryaye Namaha. Om Bhanave Namaha. Om Khagaye Namaha. Om Pushne Namaha. Om Hiranyagarbhaye Namaha. Om Marichaye Namaha. Om Adityaye Namaha. Om Savitre Namaha. Om Arkaye Namaha. Om Bhaskaraye Namaha. Salutations to the universal friend. Salutations to the resplendent sun. Salutations to the energy that induces activity within us. Salutations to the one who illumines. Salutations to the sun moving across the sky. Salutations to the giver of strength. Salutations to the golden cosmic self. Salutations to the Lord of the dawn. Salutations to the son of Aditi, the cosmic mother. Salutations to the benevolent mother. Salutations to the energy that we praise and to the one who guides us to salvation. The sun salutation now with the names of the postures both in Sanskrit and English. Pranamasana. Hastuttanasana. Madhahastasana. Left leg back, Ashvasanchalanasana. Parvatasana. And hold this position. And now slowly progressing into the deeper version of Parvatasana, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Ashtang Namaskar. Bhujangasana. Parvatasana. Left forward, Ashvasanchalanasana. Padahastasana. Hastuttanasana. Pranamasana. On the right side, prayer position. Raised arms pose. Hand to feet pose. Right leg back, equestrian pose. Mountain pose. Hold mountain pose. And slowly moving into the deeper version of mountain, the downward facing dog. Salute with 8 limbs. Cobra. Press back to mountain. Right forward, equestrian pose. Hand to feet pose. Raised arms position. Prayer pose. One round of the sun salutation with awareness on the breathing. So exhaling our hands to the chest, pranam. Inhaling as we bend back. We exhale as we fold forward. Left leg back, inhale as we're arching back. Exhale into the forward. Hold the breath for knees, chest, chin. Inhale as we arch back. Exhale into the forward. Left leg forward, inhale. This is a back bend. Exhale whenever we bend forward. Inhale as we bend back. Exhale, hands to the chest. And on the right, deep breathing. Exhale. A deep inhale. A long exhale. Right leg back with an inhale. And exhale. Hold the breath. Inhale. And exhale. Right leg forward with a deep inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale.
We are blessed with the beautiful blessings of a sun, which is about to show up in the sky. And now let's learn to let go. In this beautiful journey of letting go, every day, a layer by layer is peeling off on our body, namely the body, the mind. Here we are studying the anatomy of emotions. Yesterday, we realized that how Jung, in his entire process, with the while he was jailed, he discovered something called logotherapy. He discovered how he could imagine what he did and it actually happened, how he recontextualized the entire thing, the feelings, the circumstances, how he made them come true, how he counted his blessings from tragedy and became a winner. Now we're continuing our journey forward. Second paragraph, page number 43. Jung also said that in the unconscious, there was an aspect of ourselves called the shadow. The shadow is all the repressed thoughts, feelings, and concepts about ourselves that we don't have to face, don't want to face, don't wish to face. One benefit of a crisis is that it often brings up familiarity with our shadow. It makes us more human, more whole to realize that we share that all of humanity. All the stuff that we thought they were guilty of is equal in ourselves. Thus, when it is brought up to conscious awareness, acknowledged and surrendered, it no longer unconsciously runs us. Once the shadow has been acknowledged, it loses its power. All that is necessary is merely to recognize that we have certain forbidden impulses, thoughts, and feelings. Now, they can be handled with a so what attitude. Passing through a life crisis then makes us more human, more compassionate, more accepting, and more understanding of ourselves and others. We no longer have to indulge in making others wrong or making ourselves wrong. So there's nothing called judgment, there's nothing called criticism, there's nothing called blame game. Beat yourself or others. Why? Because you're learning to let go. And more than let go, you're learning to embrace and live in the now, accepting who you are, where you are. And that makes us definitely a better person when we start living in the now. Now, handling an emotional crisis leads to greater wisdom and results in lifetime benefits. इसलिए कभी भी लाइफ में नॉक एंड शॉक आए, ट्विस्ट एंड टर्न आए, बी ग्रेटफुल रादर देन fearful कि oh my god ये क्या हो गया मेरे साथ, because you have wanted to learn some lesson and that's come for that. Now our intelligence would be to learn what we had to learn out of this, this entire bend in life. Fear of life is really the fear of emotions. It is not the facts that we fear, but our feelings about them. Once we have mastery over our feelings, our fear of life diminishes. We feel a greater self-confidence and we are willing to take greater chances because we now feel that we can handle the emotional consequences, whatever they might be. Why? Because fear, हमें चीज की प्रॉब्लम नहीं होती, हमें फील होता है कि ओ ये हो जाएगा, हाउ विल आई फील. मूवीज जब चलती हैं कई लोग बहुत इमोशनल हो जाते हैं, आई एम वन इंक्लूडेड. Why? It's because we are sad that what's happened to the person in the movie, what's happening, the drama there. No, it's because we are putting ourselves in that person's shoes and thinking about, oh my God, ye kya ho gaya? And that's when the emotions come up. We start relating ourselves. And when do we relate less? Suppose अगर मेरी भी प्रॉब्लम है और मैं शेयर कर रही हूँ 4-5 लोगों के साथ, अगर हमारी भी प्रॉब्लम है तो दर्द कम हो जाता है. क्यों? बिकॉज ये बट जाता है, सिर्फ मेरी प्रॉब्लम नहीं, सबकी प्रॉब्लम है. So, and that is why we say mastery over our feelings. And that is when in our life, the fear will diminish. अब खत्म हो जाएगा. क्यों? कॉन्फिडेंस दे देगा. क्यों? बस अब हम तैयार हैं चांसेस लेने के लिए कि जो होगा देखा जाएगा, यार कर लेते हैं, अब इतना सोचते नहीं है. Because fear is the basis of all inhibitions. डर ही तो रोकता है. डर नहीं होगा तो हम तो आगे से आगे बढ़ते चले जाएंगे, राइट? ऐसा हो गया तो क्या, ऐसा हो गया तो क्या. Mastery over fear means the unblocking of the whole avenues of life experience that previously had been avoided. हमें अपने आप को अनब्लॉक करना है so that हम आगे फतेह ले पाए. Have you seen movies to do with army men? कैसे आगे से आगे अपने अपने बॉम्ब लेके चले जाते हैं कि वे दुश्मन के आगे जो होगा देखा जाएगा, हम उड़ जाएंगे यार, शहीद हो जाएंगे. सो व्हाट? एंड दे बिकम सक्सेसफुल. फियर ही नहीं है ना, बस हायर कॉज मिल गया. हायर कॉज क्या है? अपने देश को बचाना, सर्व करना, अपने टेरिटरी को वापस मार्क करना. Thus, the man who successfully handles the crisis of losing a job will never, ever, ever, ever again experience that same fear. He will therefore be more creative on the next job, willing to take the necessary risk to make it a success. जो लोग 9 to 5 टिपिकली करते हैं वो सक्सेस कहाँ ले पाते हैं, वो कहाँ आगे प्रॉस्पर कर पाते हैं. बट जो इंसान आगे से आगे बढ़ के लीडरशिप लेके फेल होंगे ना, मैक्सिमम क्या होगा, ट्राई तो कर रहा हूँ, वो आगे से आगे बढ़ जाते हैं. नो मैटर बहुत यंग हो, फिर आप बोलते हैं हमारा एक्सपीरियंस काउंट नहीं हुआ, वो काउंट हो गया क्योंकि उसमें जज्बा है. जिसको डर नहीं है, जिसके पास डर नहीं है, उसके आगे जीत है. He begins to see how that haunting fear of losing a job had severely limited his performance in the past, made him fearful, cautious, and cost him his self-esteem due to the kowtowing and the compliance with his superiors. So, हर समय बड़े बॉस की बात सुनना, आपको अग्री हो नहीं हो, सुनना सुनना सुनना, आपकी जो धज्जियां उड़ जाती है, आपकी क्रिएटिविटी स्टाइफल हो जाती है, आप कुछ कर ही नहीं पाते, आपको टिपिकल मैंडेट में काम करना पड़ेगा. वेयर इज द नीटनेस इन दैट? वन, कभी देखा है किसी स्वीपर को बड़े प्यार से डिफरेंट तरीके से पोछा करते हुए, सेम काम सेम एवरीथिंग, रोज ही तो करता हूँ, व्हाट्स अ बिग डील. कभी देखा डांस करते, कुछ करते हुए, एंजॉय करते हुए. So what are we doing? We are becoming stuck with monotony. वी आर fearful कि मैं ये नहीं करूंगा तो ये काम नहीं होगा, तो मैं आगे कैसे गिर ना जाऊं. Now, one benefit, which is very important to understand from a life crisis, is getting great self-awareness. Situation भले ही overwhelming हो, बहुत ही वो हो, but we are forced to stop all of our diversionary games, take a good look at our life situation, reevaluate our beliefs, goals, values, and life direction. हम सबके साथ हुआ कि नहीं हुआ? कोविड आया, biggest crisis ever. क्या किया इसने? हमको अपने आप से मिलाया, रूबरू करवाया, क्योंकि स्लो डाउन हो गया, पॉज हो गया दुनिया. अब आप डाइवर्ट ही नहीं कर सकते. अब आपको पता है घर पे ही रहना है. एकदम से हाउ कम ऑल द वुमेन एंड मेन बिकेम शेफ्स? इनको पता भी नहीं था, अब कुकिंग का भी नहीं पता था. वेंट ऑन गूगल, यूट्यूब के इतने चैनल्स बनने शुरू हो गए. सो मेनी पीपल गॉट अ न्यू प्रोफेशन. व्हाई? सबने रिवैल्यूएट किया अपने आप को. तब मालूम पड़ा ना हम कितनी सिली चीजों के पीछे भाग रहे हैं. इतनी जरूरत ही नहीं है हमें होर्ड करने की. नया मकसद मिलता है, नई वैल्यूज मिलती है, नए गोल्स मिलते हैं, नए बिलीव्स उजागर होते हैं, बिकॉज आपने पॉज लिया है. लाइफ क्राइसिस आ गया है, आप अवेयर हो गए हो, आपको अपने आप से मिला दिया है उसने. ये जो अपॉर्चुनिटी आती है रिवैल्यूएट के लिए एंड लेट गो ऑफ गिल्ट के लिए, ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. ये अपॉर्चुनिटी आती है, आपका पूरा माइंड टोटली शिफ्ट कर देती है आपका एटीट्यूड. कभी आपने देखा है आपके लव वन की डेथ हो गई और वो लव वन बोल रहा है कि टाइम नहीं देते हो तुम, टाइम नहीं देते हो मुझे. एक उसके जाने के बाद अरे यार इतना क्या लाइफ में पीछे भाग रहा था, काम काम काम, प्रोफेशन प्रोफेशन प्रोफेशन, पैसा पैसा पैसा, देखो अब वो चला गया, अब कितनी याद आती है. सो इसीलिए इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टू टेक अ पॉज. It's very important to reanalyze. It's very important to think. Sometimes it's important to think of the worst if you want to get centered, balanced, right? हुआ नहीं है worst, but अगर हो जाता है तो आप क्या करोगे? So that you are in alignment. ये नहीं कि खोने के बाद आपको रियलाइज हो रहा है. कई बार you can play this life crisis game also on yourself. अगर आपको वाकई में एटीट्यूड शिफ्ट करना है तो, especially if you have parents and grandparents, if you don't give them adequate time, think of it that today is the last day for them. What would you do? Make or shake, you'll finish, you'll forget all your work and you'll just rush to them and spend as much time and hug them and cry and make the best of memories, because today's the last day for them. So that is why life crisis is important. Why? Because as we pass through them, we confront us with polar opposites. Shall we hate or forgive that person? Shall we learn from this experience and grow, or resent it and become bitter? Do we choose to overlook the other person's shortcomings and our own? Or instead, do we resent and mentally attack them and become victims in the belief game? Shall we withdraw from similar situations in the future with greater fear? Or shall we transcend this crisis and master it once and for all? Do we choose hope or discouragement? Can we use experience as an opportunity to learn how to share? Or shall we withdraw into a shell of fear and bitterness? Every emotional experience is an opportunity to go up and down. Sir, can you please turn the page? Which do we choose? That is the confrontation. We have the opportunity to choose whether we can and we want to hang out or let go of emotional upsets. Remember one thing, the only thing we have in life is choice. हमेशा choice रहती है. ब्लेम गेम करना है, विक्टिम बनना है, या उसमें ब्लेसिंग इन डिस्गाइज खोजनी है, रिजेंटमेंट में जाना है कि फॉरगिव कर देना है, डिपेंड्स कंप्लीटली अपॉन अस. हमें जब भी नॉक्स एंड शॉक्स ऑफ लाइफ आते हैं, साथ में एक अपॉर्चुनिटी आती है टू चूज whether we really want to be where we are or get better from the experience. We can look at the cost of hanging on to them. Do we have to pay the price? Are we willing to accept the feelings? We can look at the benefits of letting go of them. अगर मैं स्टक रहूंगी कि इसने बुरा करा मेरे साथ, या लाइफ ऐसी बुरी हो गई, मैं किसको एक्सपैंड कर रही हूँ? What am I expanding? Tons of negativity. उससे क्या होगा? रिजेंटमेंट आएगी. रिजेंटमेंट आएगी तो शायद कैंसर भी आ जाए. और अगर मैं बोलती हूँ अरे हुआ यार, उसने अपनी इंटेलिजेंस से उस समय ऐसा बिहेव किया, मेरे लिए शायद ठीक नहीं हो, बट मेरे लिए ठीक नहीं हुआ, कुछ मुझे सिखाया क्या इसने कि मुझे इसकी कदर करनी चाहिए, दिस पर्सन हैड माय बैक. या मुझे ये सीखना चाहिए? Have we asked ourselves what have we gained? Now, this choice that we make will determine our future. What kind of future do we want? Will we choose to be healed or will we become one of the walking wounded? In making this choice, it is well to look at the payoff we can get from hanging on to residuals of painful experience. What are the satisfactions we are getting? How little are we willing to settle down for? Anger मिलेगा result में, hatred मिलेगी, self pity अरे बेचारी में, resentment मिलेगा you can't forgive the person. I hate it. वो अपने अंदर पाल लेंगी. They have all their cheap little payoffs, that little inner satisfaction. Let's not pretend that it's not there. There is a weird, quirky pleasure when we hang on to the pain. मजा आता है ना कई बार पेन को करने में, because अरे you want to get sympathy. लोग बोलेंगे हाय बेचारी, अरे so strong. वो cheap thrills मिलते हैं sometimes. It certainly satisfies our unconscious need for the elevation of guilt through punishment. We get to feel miserable and rotten. फिर क्या होता है? हम binge eat करते हैं, binge watch करते हैं, हम recluses बन जाते हैं. But कब तक? For how long? How long will you keep punishing yourself by becoming the victims and playing the blame game? How long? Now let's understand for example. A man who had not spoken to his brother for 23 years, neither of them could remember what the incident was about. अब तो याद भी नहीं लड़ाई हुई क्यों थी. 23 साल बीत गए, भूल गए लड़ाई का पर्पस क्या था. But they were in the habit of not speaking. So for 23 years, they paid the price of missing each other's company, affection, togetherness, and family matters, and all the shared experiences and love they could have ever had. When the man learned about the mechanism of surrender, he began to let go of his feelings about his brother. Suddenly, he broke out in tears of grief, realizing all that had been lost over the years. By forgiving his brother, he triggered a similar response in the brother, and the two were reunited. एक ने पहल करी, एक ने लेट गो किया ना. अगर उसने नहीं भी बताया अपने भाई को, और जो भाई का कॉन्फिडेंस अपार्ट है, उसको फ्रीक्वेंसी आ जाएगी, वो वाइब्रेशन आ जाएगी, एंड दोनों के साथ नाउ दे फाइनली रीयूनाइटेड. Then one of the brothers flashed back on the incident. वापस सोचा, it had been an argument over a pair of tennis shoes. One pair of tennis shoes. They had paid a price for 23 years. Had the man not learned the technique of letting go, he might have gone to his grave with the same resentment. सवाल आता है, how long do we want to keep on suffering? When are we willing to give it up? When is enough enough? Now, the part of us that wants to cling to negative emotions is our smallness. हमारा ego, हमारी aim. इसको बोलते हैं smallness. Higher self and lower self. Lower self is about I, me, am. Oh, I'm superior. It is a part of us that is mean, petty, selfish, competitive, cheap, conniving, mistrusting, vindictive, judgmental, diminished, weak, guilty, ashamed, and vain. It has little energy. It's depleting, demeaning, and leading to lowering of self-respect. कभी भी कोई इंसान हीन भावना से गुजर रहा होगा, आप उसको रिस्पेक्ट नहीं कर पाओगे, बिकॉज उसको अपने लिए ही रिस्पेक्ट नहीं है. वो तो सिर्फ नेगेटिव बोले जा रहा है, ब्लेम गेम करे जा रहा है. You're like, I don't want to be around him. क्या नेगेटिव एनर्जी है. This small part of us that accounts for our own self-hatred, unending guilt, and seeking for punishment, sickness, and disease. This part is actually diseased. We have to bring it back to being easy. Is that the part with which we want to be identified with? क्या ये तो ऐसी एनर्जी वाली है, क्या हमें ये टैग चाहिए, ये लेबल चाहिए? Is that the way we want to see ourselves? Is that the part that we want to energize? उसको expand करना है, ये तो ऐसी वाली है. Because if that's the way we see ourselves, then that's the way other world sees us. The world is a reflection of what we think, right? अगर हमको अपने लिए ही इतना हेटेड है, हमने उसको पकड़ के बैठा हुआ है, तो फिर वर्ल्ड भी वैसे देखेगा. मुझे लग रहा है मैंने कोयला दूसरे के ऊपर फेंका उसको जलाने के लिए, वो जले ना जले, वो डक कर जल जाए, मेरा हाथ तो पक्का जलेगा, पर मैं तो कोयले को छुआ है. बर्न तो मैं कर रही हूँ. क्या मैं हमेशा बॉन्ड करना चाहती हूँ या मैं लेट को करना चाहती हूँ? Choice is always mine. The world can only see us as we see ourselves. अगर कोई मेरे ऊपर टैग बना के दे रहा है कि प्राची गुस्सेबाज है क्योंकि वो गुस्सेबाज है, तो अगर किसी ने मुझे बोला प्राची तुम स्मार्ट नहीं हो क्योंकि वो स्मार्ट नहीं है, मुझे अपने ऊपर लिटरली लेना ही नहीं है एनीथिंग. Are we willing to pay these consequences? If we see ourselves as cheap and petty, it's unlikely that we'll be at the top of the company list for a raise. The more you give, the more you get. So अगर आप cheap and petty काम कर रहे हो, ये बचा रहे हो, ये कर रहे हो, that's how it's going to be. The price of holding on to smallness can be demonstrated with muscle testing. The procedure is fairly simple. Hawkins 1995, 2012 में उन्होंने किया. Hold in mind a mean, petty thought and have someone press down on your arm while you resist. Notice the effect. आप सोच के देखो कि आपने गंदी विचार सोचा है और वो कोई आपको प्रेस करे जा रहा है, करे जा रहा है, करे जा रहा है, आप उसको रेजिस्ट करे जा रहे हो, वो प्रेस कर रहा है और आप उसको आगे कर रहे हो, क्या होगा फ्रिक्शन से? I choose the exact opposite view. Picture yourself as being generous, forgiving, loving, experiencing your inner greatness. Instantly, there will be an enormous energy and increase in muscle strength, indicating a surge of positive bioenergy. Smallness brings weakness, sickness, disease, and death. Do you really want that? Letting go of negative feelings can be accompanied by another very healthy maneuver, which will gently assist your inner transformation. And that is to stop resisting the positive emotions. अब कई लोग क्या करते हैं, especially I'm going to quote this stupid example, like many times quoted, your mother-in-law, your sister-in-law. In India, we call them bhabi, we call them none other than mother-in-law, sasu, right? So अब वो मेरे साथ ऐसा करती तो मैं कैसे ठीक हो जाऊं? कई बार उनके लिए पॉजिटिव फीलिंग आएगा, मैं क्यों करूं यार, माई ईगो कम्स इन मिडल. एंड अगर आप उसके बियॉन्ड भी उनके लिए कर दोगे तो क्या होगा? उनका चेंज ऑफ हार्ट हो जाएगा बिकॉज आपका चेंज ऑफ हार्ट हो गया है. पर हम अपनी ईगो के चक्कर में करते ही नहीं, नेगेटिव एनर्जी को एक्सपैंड करते हैं. अरे वो लोग दोनों आ रहे हैं, मेरी तो लाइफ खराब होने वाली. पहले से हमने एफर्मेशन, नेगेटिव एफर्मेशन कर दिया, सो बी इट. So this is about the negative emotions. Tomorrow, we will talk about how to enhance positive emotions. दातार बनना है, हम देने नहीं, हम लेने नहीं देने आए हैं. That bhajan can really come true. That we've all come to give. अगर हम अपने आप को गिवर बना दें, तो कितना मजा आएगा, automatically receive करेंगे. So let's understand this. And tomorrow is yet another beautiful morning where we'll talk about the positive emotions. Until then, let's go for our creative thinking. And Shivani, I'm sorry I didn't give you the platform to read, but now you can read the art of creative thinking. Just that it was a very profound chapter, and I just went with the flow. This is a very beautiful chapter, and we'll hear it through Shivani. It's about remake, then remake, the remake. It's about bettering, which is already better. So how do we understand this? Let's go through this beautiful explanation by Ron Judkins. Again, I warn you, I caution you. It's out of the box thinking, kuch cheeze overhead transmission hongi, but just go with the flow. You'll understand the crux, and I'm here to explain as well. Yeah, Shivani.
The composer and lyricist Stephen Sondheim had a flop on his hands. When the Broadway production of his musical Merrily We Roll Along opened, the critics savaged it, and it ran only for 16 performances. Audiences were confused and couldn't follow the story. It was a shock for him. He has written many great musicals, including West Side Story, and won Academy Awards, Grammys, you name a theatre award, and he's won it. So, how did he deal with the flop? Sanjim worked merrily, we roll along again and again. Over the years, the musical has been restaged with numerous songs discarded and replaced with new versions. Each time it was performed, he revised it by adding a new song. Sandhim believed in the musical and sure of his ability, sure of his original idea, but able to question and to deconstruct the parts that didn't work for audiences. Eventually, it showed in London and then back on Broadway to ecstatic reviews. decades after its first disastrous appearance. The first spark of inspiration always needs reworking and revision. Ernest Hemingway explained, I rewrote the ending to Farewell to Arms, the last page of it, 39 times before I was satisfied. That means he discarded 38 chapters. He constantly took an axe to his work and rebuilt it. The creative enjoy the revision process, craving away excess words, clay, or notes until the rhythm and phrasing of their work parts like a well-tuned engine. Many ask for help with their revision process. T.S. Eliot enlisted Urza Pound to give him an extensive feedback on his most important poem, The Wasteland. In the original manuscript, Pound has scribbled numerous comments such as verse not interesting enough. Without Pound's help, it would never have been a classic.
So, what did we understand? एक प्ले था शिट प्ले पीपल सेड उसको जबकि इतना अमेजिंग म्यूजिकल था बहुत सॉन्ग्स थे but he kept on revising it kept on revising it kept on adding a new song. He believed कि म्यूजिकल है उसका ओरिजिनल आइडिया लोग क्वेश्चन करते क्या है कुछ इसमें तो कुछ वो ही नहीं है डायलॉग्स ही नहीं है सिर्फ म्यूजिक 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 बट इवेंचुअली this became a hit. He was the first person who produced a musical play. And he made it because he believed in himself. And what did he do? He kept bettering it. Criticism आया ये नहीं shut off shop कर दी कि कुछ भी नहीं हुआ, people didn't like it, the idea collapsed. No, he deconstructed the parts that didn't work for the audience. Just जहाँ criticism मिली उसके ऊपर काम किया. And then finally he had success. Similarly now एक book का end 38 up ends लिख रहे हो as if each is final and finally लिख रहे हो. So you could have stopped at the first or second or fifth or 10th, but you went 39 times extra mile because revision is the key. Reducing words is the key. जो चीज 10 शब्दों में बोली जा सकती है उसके लिए 20 शब्द क्यों इस्तेमाल करने जो चीज सरल इंग्लिश में बोला जा सकता है क्यों डिफिकल्ट वर्ड ऐड करने के लोगों को डिक्शनरी खोलनी पड़ेगी समझने के लिए वो फ्लो टूट जाता है कोई डिफिकल्ट वर्ड अगर आपके वोकैबुलरी में आता है फ्लो टूट जाता है so this is what you have to understand that fine tuning make and then remake and then remake and then remake and establish yourself as an excellent product whatever you're doing. Yeah, let's continue further.
Many early versions of a work need to be discarded before it can be rendered into a coherent form. When a printing deadline approached, J.R.R. Tolkien, author of The Lord of Rings, intensively revised, reconsidered, and polished his manuscript. Tolkien rewrote so thoroughly that many new ideas sprang from him, and the publisher, expecting a completed text, instead, instead often received the first draft of completely new work. D.H. Lawrence rewrote Lady Chatterley's Lover from start to finish 3 times before it was ready to publish. Similarly, Picasso's greatest masterpiece, the huge oil painting Guernica, has been presented as uh, a bolt from blue, a flash of inspiration. The myth is that Picasso heard of the bombing of the small town of Guernica during the Spanish Civil War and painted an intensive response, a visual account,
Instinctive, not intensive.
instinctive, instinctive response of visual account of the devastating and chaotic impact of war on both men and women, specifically on civilian life and communities. What is less well known is that Picasso produced 45 preliminary sketches for Guernica before he even began painting. Archive photos of the painting in progress reveal numerous layers of adjustments and radical changes. The final product took weeks to paint. Artists, writers, and other creative people often speak of finding what they have to say in the process of trying to say it. First, Drafts of composers, writers, and artists' work are truly revealing because they often expose that seismic alterations have been made. Be prepared to constantly rethink and revise.
Be
You
prepared to constantly rethink and revise. Be prepared to make your work better, better, better than best. It should be that आप convinced भी हो that the work is amazing. उसके बाद भी there is a scope for betterment, because there's always a scope for betterment. And that is when the masterpieces come out, when you are ready, open, receptive, and willing to change. When you're stuck up, you will have static energy. When you're open, receptive, you will have open energy, and you'll all become channels of life. We were yet not complete, but so close. So let me read what was left. Judy Picoult says, "You might not write well every day, but you can always edit a bad page. You can't edit a blank page. Blank page को क्या edit करेंगे जब खाली है तो कुछ अगर bad pages हो you रोज तो everybody can't be great ना कि अच्छे अच्छे words रोज flow कर रहे हैं कुछ तो क्या the idea is कुछ तो करो step by step keep taking chances don't waste time घटिया करो but करो तो सही now that's important. Today is all about relationships, and anybody who wants to can raise a hand. Thank you, Shivani, for lending your voice for this beautiful morning session of all of us. So yes, Kamakshi, you can unmute yourself, and tomorrow Manish can read. So in relationships, we are all teachers and students. This is something, please remember. अगर आप सीख रहे हैं तो आप सिखा भी रहे हैं क्योंकि हम इस वर्ल्ड में आए हैं forever हमने membership ले ली है that we'll always be a student. बट सबसे अनिवार्य इम्पॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन है अपने आप से मैंने आज क्या सीखा या मैं आज क्या सिखाने आई हूं या मैं क्या सिखा पाई व्हाट डिड आई कम हियर टू लर्न एंड व्हाट डिड आई कम टू टीच हम सबकी लाइफ का एक पर्पस है हाँ हम सीखने आए हैं हम सिखाने भी आए हैं all of my relationships are enveloped in a circle of love अगर मैंने कुछ लिया है तो मैं कुछ दूंगी भी कुछ दिया है तो मुझे अपने आप मिलेगा भी सिंपल चीज है व्हाट यू गिव इज व्हाट यू गेट अगर आपने कुछ ज्ञान दिया है तो आपको ज्ञान बहुत ज्यादा भर के मिलेगा बिकॉज आप एक सर्कल ऑफ लव के पार्ट हो जहां आप दे रहे हो तो वहां मिल रहा है एज सिंपल एज दैट दैट्स द लॉ ऑफ यूनिवर्स यस कामाक्षी प्लीज रीड
Point. All my relationships are enveloped in a circle of love. Envelop your family in a circle of love, whether they are living or not. Include your friends, your loved ones, your spouse, everyone from your work and your past, and all the people you would like to forgive and don't know how. Affirm that you have a wonderful, harmonious relationships with everyone, where there is mutual respect and caring on both sides. Know that you can live with dignity and peace and joy. Let the circle of love envelop the entire planet and let your heart open so you can have a space within you of unconditional love. You are worth loving. You are beautiful. You are powerful. You open yourself to all good. And so it is.
how beautiful thank you kamakshi shivani are you on the mobile or are you on the laptop because today I don't see akshay so if you're on the laptop you can record so I can make you co-host if not it's not a big deal don't you worry that's fine so we'll anyone who wants to do it the sessions are already online they can do the last 10 minutes and they'll be good to go so let's start our meditation let's simply align ourselves by taking a deep breath in and out. In, out. Inhale, exhale. Life is magical. Life is a gift. Life is a beautiful new connection. Let's know that each one of us is divinely guided at all given times in life. Each one of us is here on Mother Earth to fulfill our spiritual goal, our spiritual journey. And when each one of us realize that we are here for some particular purpose, can we drop off and let go of the sham, of the misgivings, of the grief, and stop playing this blame game? Stop becoming the victims. Start involving others around you into the magnificence of the world that you're creating. Start evolving from deep within. Let's remind ourselves that each one of us is here as a teacher, and each one of us is here as a student. And the more we give, the more we get. Each one of us here as a part of a circle of love, having called upon our soul family to reincarnate with us, to take our purpose of life forward. We're here to be a channel of love and light. We are here to let all negativity completely leave us once and for all. We are here enveloped in a circle of love where there is no disparity. All we find is commonality. Let's understand that everyone in our life is here playing the beautiful part, working on the tunes that they have decided and you have decided for your welfare. Let's play this game of life. Whenever in doubt, let's ask ourselves many, many questions. Maybe 5 whys. What makes me stall? What am I getting out of stalling? Why am I doing this? Can I change? Knowing that all of us have an answer within ourselves, that we're here for a divine reason. We're here to learn, to grow. We're here to evolve as people, knowing that we are the creative ones and we have been made painstakingly beautiful. Each one of us is resonating at a higher vibe. Each one of us is growing, knowing that we are here for a purpose, to do our part. Let's play this beautiful game of life by letting go of what saps us of our energy, by letting go of something that pulls down and bogs us down in a negative world. Let's embrace an attitude of positivity. Let's up our games of life by letting go of all negative emotions. By now, we know how to play being positive, whether it's switch words, switch emotions, people who switch our thinking. Let's remember that life crisis hits for a reason. We must go inward to ask ourselves, why did I have to get subjected to this kind of torture, this kind of atrocity, this kind of a failure, or this kind of dis-ease, or this kind of an ill will? What is there for me to learn? How can I grow? The more I find them, the more compassionate, the more empathetic I become towards myself, the more I move out from my shadows, the more I prosper as a person who's loving and living the game of life, who's loving what she's doing. Let's understand conflicts will come and we should allow them to come because they give us a new perspective, a new paradigm, a new change of energy, a new change of heart. And let us always know, let the heart rule. Our heart can shut down our brains, and the overfunctional brains are thinking beyond comprehension. They have an inherent nature of being fearful. So let's not expand them much, but let's give more weightage to our heart, because the heart never lies. In all of us is here a tucked, a heart of gold. All it knows is love. All it needs is love. All it's playing its game of life as being a channel of love. Let's enhance our qualities, our virtues. Let our virtues expand. Let's find the correct meaning, the true meaning of love and light. After all, each one of us is a channel of love and light. Having known that, how beautiful life is, we simply are letting go. If people have called us whatever, they've labeled us, judged us, we're dropping all the guards. We're embracing ourselves in totality. We might be a scanner of some types. We might not. But now we accept who we are without ridiculing ourselves, without judging ourselves, without criticizing ourselves. Because love is all we have, love is all we are, and love is all that we have to give. Let's know deep within. Our journey needs to be inward rather than outward. The more I reflect on my inner programming, the more I grow and evolve. The more I go deeper within me, I get these priceless pearls of wisdom which are tucked in me. The more I keep sound company, the more I'll evolve. It does not mean I let go of people in my life, but I let go of the fact that they are toxic people. I let go of my nature of labeling people. Nobody is shallow, nobody is great. There's greatness in every single person. May I become a seeker of love. May I always share my love with others. May I see the best in others, evolving, growing abundantly. May I always be connected to my higher power. May I know that all of my relationships are enveloped in a circle of love. And I'm just merely here playing my role of giving love, of giving light, of giving peace and joy to all around me. And knowing that it's good to be selfish. At times, I can become a channel to know that if I give, I get. And later, that becomes a conditioning and my behavior sets in. More power to each one of us who are tuned into this beautiful thought. And let's bow our heads in gratitude towards Mother Earth, Dharti Ma, Janani Janmabhumi, Sister Gaia of the Saptrishis. You have suffered, and yet you have always given. Thank you for nurturing each one of us. It's because of you that the equilibrium of the world has been set. It's because of us that all toxicity has come in. And yet you keep giving it to us unconditionally. May I be just like you. No matter what negativity I see, may I always keep giving, 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 because that will make me feel lighter, lighter, and lighter. And that will make me soar higher, higher, and higher. Thank you, Mother Earth, for all that you do for us. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now let's look at a life level, our eye level, and thank a wonderful life. So many ups, so many downs, so many knocks, so many shocks, so many twists, so many turns, so many blessings, so many celebrations. Our life is a beautiful panoramic shot where there's all colors of life in it, all shades of the rainbow, all colors of darkness or lightness, all shades of gray. I embrace my life with all its imperfections because this is the only way to grow. I thank all the people who've played their role and are playing so and will continue to play in my evolution as a soul, in my evolution as a feeling being. I thank you, I accept you, and applaud you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's open our hands to the universe above and thank our universal body, the cosmic energy, for enlightening us, empowering us, and to all the divine beings in this realm or the others, in this plane or the others, in this universe or the others. Thank you for protecting us, guarding us, guiding us, and always ensuring we are chosen to be blessed. We know you have our back. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's fold our hands in gratitude, drop them together, bless our face, all the five senses, seeing, hearing, speaking, feeling, smelling, sensing, our nose, our shoulders, our arms, our lungs, our heart, our entire gut area, our sexual organs, our legs top to bottom, our soles of our feet, bottom part, back part of our legs, our excretory organs, our hips, our lower back, our middle back, our upper back. Let's again fold our hands and be grateful for our wonderful body, its functioning, to all the muscles, tissues, fibers, blood circulation system, the water, the energy, the perfect programming of all the organs and the way the all organs function unconditionally. Let's thank and be thankful for having such a blessed, magical body. And let's thank each other and bless each other with the beautiful energy that flows in us by opening our hands and wishing and blessing each one of us. Love, light, healing, blessings, and wishful abundance wishes for you, Jitendra ji, Pratima ji, Kamakshi, Ruchi, Vijay ji, Manish, Shivani, Richa, Neetu, Akshay, Usha ji, Manisha, Shami, Bharat, Peena ji, Rohini ji, Rahul sir, Amrita ma'am, and to all the people who are hearing us whenever they are. Lots of love and lots of light. Be blessed. Are there any doubts in today's session? We have to play a game. That's what and it's an introspection game. We can play, we can partner with somebody or play it ourselves. It'll be part of your assignment. Is there any doubt that you have about letting go or about choosing? Or is there any doubt about creating? If yes, you can share. If any questions, you can share. Please unmute yourself, Kamakshi. Please unmute yourself.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Just a doubt arised in my mind, Prachi. Thing is कि हम ये कहते हैं ना कि we have to think with our brain or we have to think with our heart.
Heart.
एक मैंने because I read somewhere there is a law which is Antpangu law. मतलब our heart is blind and our brain is लंगड़ा, मतलब he doesn't have a legs and heart की eyes नहीं है, तो heart के ऊपर जाके brain बैठ गया. They have a companionship and the brain directs heart कि you go here because it is blind. But if you start listening to your heart, तो brain dull हो जाता है. अब यहाँ पे था कि if you think lots with your heart, then brain gets stuck. So एक यही question arise हुआ कि whether to think with the heart or whether to think with the brain. क्या इसके answers होंगे?
So now I'll tell you. I'll play the devil's advocate. What I think is my perception is, जब अपने सिर्फ दिल की बात सुनते रहोगे, कई बार आप comfort zone में आ जाते हो. You know, अरे मुझे तो ये पसंद है. This is how it is. And you don't want to break out of the monotony or that comfort zone to do something which is better for you. Dil will never give you a wrong suggestion, but Dil can make you in a comfortable place, and you should be aware, you should be conscious. Where are you resonating at? What are you resonating at? Ultimately, manifest वो होता है जो दिल बोलता है. हम माइंड से कितनी भी एफर्मेशंस लिख लें, कितना भी पॉजिटिव थिंक करने की कोशिश कर लें, बट जो हार्ट फील करता है ना, वो ही सच निकल के आता है. सो हार्ट कैन नेवर गो रॉन्ग. द परफेक्ट कॉम्बिनेशन इज द कोहेरेंस व्हिच आई कीप टॉकिंग अबाउट. कि आपका दिमाग जो बोल रहा है वो दिल फील कर रहा है, उसी के लिए हम क्रिएटिव विजुअलाइजेशन करते हैं. हम वो चीज मैनिफेस्ट करते हैं. रोज सुबह हम देखते हैं जैसे यथार्थ में अभी हो रहा है. अगर वो अभी हो रहा है तब जाकर ये तो होगा. अगर हम सोचते हैं कि ये तो पॉसिबल ही नहीं है, हम बोल रहे हैं, तो पॉसिबल होगा ही नहीं. तो आई कांट से दैट You think from your heart, but I can say you feel from your heart and you'll not go wrong. But sometimes you need to wake up your heart, shake up your heart. For example, the heart is sometimes very comfortable grieving. You've lost a loved one. But ultimately, it will shake off ना कि इससे कुछ फायदा तो होगा नहीं. So your brain does play a role. It's not absent. But अगर आप सिर्फ दिमाग से सोचोगे तो आप लाइफ में आगे नहीं बढ़ पाओगे because you lose a connection with your soul. Remember one thing. जब हम रीइनकार्नेट होते हैं मदर अर्थ में, हमारी सोल कॉमन रहती है. एक ड्रेस की तरह हम अपनी बॉडी बदलते हैं, कंट्री, पेरेंट्स, एटमॉस्फेयर बदलते हैं. कॉमन क्या आता है? सोल के साथ सबकॉन्शियस माइंड, प्रोग्रामिंग. अब उस प्रोग्रामिंग में अगर ये है कि कामाक्षी कांट डू समथिंग, उसको हम कॉन्शियस ब्रेन में अलाइन करके मैनिफेस्टेशन सुन के ट्रेन कर सकते हैं कि वी कैन री राइट द प्रोग्राम. कैसेट होती थी पुराने जमाने में ना, आप उसको वापस कर दो एंड उसमें अपनी आवाज दे दो, गाने दो, यू कैन री राइट द प्रोग्राम. हम री राइट कर सकते हैं सबकॉन्शियस माइंड में. एंड अल्टीमेटली दैट विल बी आवर एंटायर जर्नी. क्योंकि जब भी हम लाइफ में आगे जन्मेंगे, हमारा सबकॉन्शियस माइंड और हमारी सोल कॉमन रहेगी. I could become a man in the next life. फिर मेरी तो next life होने नहीं वाली, hopefully. So I could become a man. I could choose a different set of country, and I've done that. I've told you. I've till now, जब से वो channel नहीं हुआ, 26th से, I haven't done a path of regression with a guided thing. उसके पहले I'd seen about 22 lives. हर समय नई life and 7 जन्म निकाल दिए. Understand that okay, get over your comfort zone. वो comfortable zone में live कर रहे थे. So इसलिए मैं बोलती हूँ, have a connection with your soul. That's the reason I keep stressing on the book Unified. Unified, yeah.
मतलब पहले I used to think with my lots with my brain कि यही एक impression था. अब off late I've started thinking with my heart. जैसे कल भी I had a meeting with my boss. तो एक impression आया कि नहीं यार, बड़ा ना, उसने तो ये करना है, मतलब ये. फिर I redirected myself, नहीं, she'll be more helpful, it'll turn out good. I made this affirmation and it turned out really well. So
More power to you. So I think you're on the right track. ज़्यादा मत सोचो. जो learning आ रही है, जो art of creative thinking है ना, वो challenge करती है आपको. Except behavior से सोचने का, नजरिया बदलने का. Contradict करती है जानबूझ के. It's challenging your comfort zone and making you think out of the box. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, my dear. Thank you for asking. And thank you always for everything. Lots of love to everyone. Thank you for making my morning magical. Let's see each other tomorrow on this thankful Thursday. Until then, enjoy your wonderful Wednesday. Lots of love and light. Thank you.